Let your spirit soar. This is the podcast you can't ignore. It's the badass broadcast. Feel the flame breaking the rules, rewriting the game.
Welcome back to the Badass Broadcast, where we keep it real, regulated, and soul-led. I am your host, favorite fire starter and nervous system regulator, the Queen Lady T. And today we're stepping into something new. This is the very first episode of a series I'm calling The Queen Codes. Consent, clarity, and crown adjustments. Because sometimes growth isn't about learning something new. It's about remembering who the fuck you are and adjusting your crown accordingly. In this first conversation, we're coming for something subtle. Something a lot of people have been calling healing. But it's not always what it looks like. Because some of y'all aren't actually at peace. You're just quiet. And there's a difference. Let's get into it.
Broadcast. It's your time. Step into
Some of y'all aren't really at peace. You're just quiet. And I need you to really sit with that for a second. Don't try to rush past it or defend it. Just feel it. Because a lot of people have mastered the art of silence and call it growth. Avoiding conflict doesn't automatically mean you've healed or grown. Sometimes it just means you've learned how to abandon yourself more gracefully. And the wild part is, you can get really, really good at it. You can smile through it. You can nod through it. You can I'm fine your way through it. You can even convince yourself, this isn't worth it. I'm choosing peace. I'm being mature. But inside, there's tension sitting in your chest. There's conversations you had in your head, but never out loud. There's moments where your truth rose up and you pushed it right back down, and your body remembers every single one of those moments. The tightness, the replaying conversations later, the feeling of, I should have said something. That's not peace. That's unexpressed truth, begging for a way out. So this comes from a post that says, is avoiding conflict maturity, or is it fear of abandonment? And well, you know me. I'm not giving you a clean, pretty answer. Because in this case, in most cases, it depends. It depends on your intention. It depends on your body. It depends on what it's costing you. Because honestly, you can keep the peace and lose yourself at the same damn time. You can avoid the argument and create distance within yourself. You can maintain the connection and still feel disconnected from who you are inside of it. So the real question isn't, am I being mature? The real question is it protecting your peace, or is it caging your truth? Because one of those leads to alignment, and the other leads to quiet resentment that builds up over time. And resentment is basically just truth that got trapped and never got expressed, eventually turning into emotional distance. We've been taught that mature woman is the one who doesn't argue, the one who lets things go, the one who doesn't make everything a big deal, the one who keeps the peace. Because God forbid you speak your truth, then you're just difficult. No, the mature woman is supposed to be the one who's easy. But let's really look at that, because easy for who? Because a lot of that conditioning was never about your alignment. It was about your convenience. Convenient to deal with, convenient to love, convenient to stay around. And again, there's nothing wrong with emotional regulation. There's nothing wrong with choosing your battles. But there's a difference between choosing peace and suppressing yourself to maintain comfort. Nobody talks about what happens underneath that silence. The resentment that builds quietly, the overthinking that kicks in later, the emotional distance you start to feel from yourself. That moment where you're like, why do I feel off? Because every time you choose silence over truth, you disconnect from yourself just a little bit more. That's not emotional intelligence. That's self-abandonment. And baby, we're not dressing wounds up as wisdom over here. No, we're actually healing them. Now, let's break this down because this is where the clarity comes in. Because avoiding conflict isn't always the problem, it's the energy behind it. Same behavior, different truth. And if you don't learn to recognize the difference, you'll keep calling survival peace. So let's break down these three energies. First, regulated power. This is the woman who says, I can speak, I just don't need to. But let's be clear, this isn't silence because you're scared. This is silence because you're centered. There's no tightness in your chest. There's no replaying conversations later or I should have said something. Because if it needed to be said, you would have said it. That's the difference. This is discernment. Emotional mastery. This is knowing that not everything deserves your energy and not everything deserves access to your voice. She's not avoiding conflict. She's choosing alignment, and that's power. That is a powerful thing and a powerful place to be at. Second, we have fear of losing connection. This one says, I want to say something, but I don't want to lose them. So instead of speaking, you adjust. You minimize. You make it not a big deal. You tell yourself, it's fine. I don't want to start anything. I'll just let it go. But you didn't let it go, did you? You swallowed it. And now it's sitting in your body. Now it's showing up as irritation, distance, disconnection. Because every time you shrink to stay chosen, you slowly stop choosing yourself. And that's where resentment is born. Not from what they did, but from what you didn't allow yourself to say. Third, nervous system overwhelm. This one says, I don't even have the capacity for this right now. And this is the one we don't judge. Because sometimes your system is just like, absolutely the fuck not. You're tired, you're overstimulated, you're already holding too much. So you avoid, you delay, you shut down. But here's the key. This is meant to be temporary. A pause, not a pattern. Because if overwhelm becomes your default, you start abandoning conversations that actually matter. And baby, I could write a whole book on this one. Ask me why I'm divorced. But this work here, it isn't to force yourself to speak in the moment. It's to come back to it when your system is regulated. And the core truth that ties all three of these energies together. Same behavior, different energy. And your body always knows which one you're in. So let's bring it back to you. No judgment, just awareness. Because awareness is where your power actually lives. After you keep the peace, do you actually feel calm? Or does your mind start running it back like a replay? Do you feel settled in your body? Or is there a tightness that won't let you relax? Do you feel proud of how you handled it? Or do you feel like you edited yourself to stay safe? Do you feel closer to yourself after that moment or a little more disconnected? And here's the one that really hits. Are you choosing silence or are you scared of what might happen if you speak? Because those are two very different energies. One is power, the other is fear. And your body will always tell you the truth, even when your mind tries to justify it. So slow down long enough to listen. So here's the shift. A queen doesn't avoid conflict, she avoids self-abandonment. And once you really understand that, everything changes. Because now it's not about being right. It's not about winning an argument. It's not about proving a point. It's about staying in integrity with yourself. A queen knows her voice is not the problem. Her truth is not the problem. Her presence is not the problem. And anyone who makes her feel like it is simply not aligned with her. Because keeping the peace at the cost of your truth, that's not peace. That's betrayal. And betrayal hits different when it's coming from you. So we're not doing that anymore. We're not silencing ourselves to be loved or to be chosen. We're not editing ourselves to be accepted. You're not here to be agreeable. You're not here to be convenient or digestible. You're here to be real. The right people, aligned people, will never require you to abandon yourself to keep them. They meet you where you stand. Truth and all. See, conflict isn't the problem. Misalignment is the problem. Speaking up doesn't destroy healthy connection. It reveals the ones that were never safe for your truth to begin with. And I know that part can feel very uncomfortable because sometimes speaking up changes the dynamic. Sometimes it shifts the relationship. Sometimes it shows you who someone really is. But would you rather know or just keep performing just to maintain something that doesn't actually honor who you are? Yeah, exactly. So the next time you go quiet, I don't want you asking, am I being mature? I want you asking, am I honoring myself or am I abandoning myself to be easier to keep? Because you don't need to be more agreeable. You need to be more self-loyal. And that's the real queen code. Now, if this episode hit you somewhere deep, come sit with me inside the work. Meet me in Sacred Wildfire Women's Circle or book a badass breakthrough session. Because this is the kind of shift that changes everything. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, send it to them. Because a lot of people are still calling it peace when it's really just silence. And we are not shrinking over here. We are rising. Until next time, remember, you are an unstoppable badass, worthy of everything your heart desires. Let's get it.
Queen energy, feel the heat when I walk in. Bow down.
If this episode spoke to your soul, don't keep it to yourself. Like it, share it, send it to someone who needs a dose of badassery in their life. Want to be a guest on the show? Got a powerful story, message, or mission? Apply now at unstoppablebadass.me. Need a high vibe home for your healing and growth? Join my free Facebook community, The Elevated Soul Tribe. It's where soul-led women come to rise, connect, and stay real. If you're a seer, light worker, or spiritual badass who's done shrinking, step inside the fire and rise with us in Sacred Wildfire, my virtual queen circle. Feeling stuck or ready to break through? Book your free badass breakthrough session and let's uncover what's been holding you back. Clarity, power, momentum, all waiting on the other side. Ready to activate your healing gifts? Enroll in my Kundalini Reiki activation and attunement course. Step into or deepen your healer's journey with sacred energy work that transforms you from the inside out. Want to show some love? Donate or shop at buymeacoffee.com/The Queen Lady Tea, because your support helps me keep lighting fires and dropping truth. You can find all these links in the show notes, the description, or at unstoppablebadass.me.
Thank you so much for rocking with me, and I'll catch you in the next episode of the Badass Broadcast.
It's the Badass Broadcast. Feel the flame breaking the rules, rewriting the game.